Dani, you know what I'm sick of?
What?
I'm sick of people always asking the first time you meet them, so what do you do? Like, that question is just so not a question that really describes who we are. And I feel like we get so caught up in the what you do, and we're so intentionally trying to be busy that we don't actually get a chance to share more about who we are, and a lot of connections can feel really transactional, and it's not as genuine as we may want. Does that resonate with you?
It does. And also, I want to say, this may just be an American thing, and I would love to hear from any listeners that don't live in the U.S. if this happens to you, or if it's completely different where you are.
Well, actually, most of my friends are from Europe, and they tell me all the time that it is really different how we are so focused on like what we do. I mean, if you look at our culture here, we focus our lives around work, and we spend majority of our time at work, whereas a lot of other cultures, they are spending so much time with their families, they're spending time resting, they're just not making work the main focus of their life. And obviously here in America, it's a bit different, and we have to survive.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us don't even have the opportunity to try to just be in the moment, because we were constantly worrying about where's our next paycheck going to come from, how are we going to make this work, how are we going to make ends meet, what does this look like. And it is a lot about what you do, especially if you go to New York City.
Oh, New York, you're something else.
Yeah,
but I think what we've been realizing over the last few years of really building Coming Out Happy is that we want to kind of leave work at the door. Like, honestly, in any event that we host, in any community that we've built, whether it's online or in person, something so important to us is helping other queer adults just see who they are without whatever it is that they do for work. Obviously, if work is important to someone, then it is. Obviously, it's important to you and I, because this is what we actually do for work. So we love talking about it, and we love being a part of it and all that stuff. But it's really nice to bring people together when they're just trying to get to know, like, who someone else has been. Like, what's their family like? What are their friends like? What do they like to do for fun? And I think a lot of people are starting to realize that maybe over time, since, you know, they've been adulting, they've lost a lot of what they used to love to do as a kid. Me, definitely, for an example, I lost a lot of my hobbies as I started to really dive deeper into work. But, you know, over the last couple of years, I've really stepped up and have decided intentionally to focus a lot on my hobbies and not let that just kind of go to the wayside because, you know, I have work to do.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Dani, what is a way that you think we can enter into spaces and conversations with avoiding the question, what do you do? What's an example or something that you've tried or seen?
Well, I don't think it's about avoiding that. I think it's just not making that like one of the first things that go on. Like, if you approach someone, let's just say if you're attending one of our mindful mixers, we're doing a lot of facilitated networking, which is probably one of the most helpful things that we've seen, because a lot of people don't really know exactly how to dive into, you know, these different questions that you're saying.
Can you explain facilitated networking for those who maybe are unsure?
It's when a facilitator is either hosting activities or, you know, or asking certain questions to really help the entire group be able to have, you know, these opportunities to get to know one another without it just being like an awkward conversation of like walking up to someone. Like, we've been at many different networking situations where we're all just left to figure it out. And like, I don't like that at all. Keely is way better at that, just walking up to anybody and making conversation, but I'm not like that. And so we created this like facilitated networking situation, which we're calling now our Mindful Mixers, and we're hosting a couple around the US. Next one is in Los Angeles. Go get your ticket.
October 21st.
Yes, so make sure that you're there. But yeah, it's really about providing the activities, the questions, to make life easier for all of the participants. So some of the questions, what were one of the questions that you asked at the New York City one that we just had?
Well, if you are new here, we created our LGBTQ plus couples conversation deck, but I guess we could expand on them in different ways, but they can totally be used for friends and groups and for strangers. And some of the questions in there just go a little bit deeper than the surface. Like I think one of the questions that we asked was, what does success look like to you? We asked the question, what is something that you're proud of that maybe didn't get proper recognition for? So you can just tell based off of those. These are deep.
Obviously, they're not just like, what do you do?
Yeah.
But I think it's super helpful because these are the questions that really help you get to know a person. And the card deck we created, it was because we saw a need for deeper connection with queer adults. We've been in so many different spaces where we feel disconnected, where it's just about drinking and partying and whatever, and we wanted more intentional conversations. We wanted more intentional relationships in general. And so if you've been following for a while, you know all the things that we've done to help you create a beautiful life, including relationships for yourself. So we have our Pride Amplified course, which actually helps you connect deeper with yourself. Then we have our conversation cards, which really help you, and you can use that on a date. You can use it with your friends. You can use it during networking to have in the back of your mind. But I think all of these things are so important because these simple tools, along with mindful community, help you create a life that feels more meaningful to you.
So if you're someone who is struggling to connect with people on a deeper level, coming to an event like this or coming to an experience that we create, whether that's our queer winter camp that's happening in December or any mindful mixer that we're hosting around the country here, come and just say yes to yourself. Say yes to yourself and be open to experiencing new kinds of connections that maybe you wouldn't normally go up to automatically, but because you're going to find a partner that you didn't come with, right? And you're going to connect with someone, you're able to ask different kinds of questions and see what kinds of interests you actually have outside of just work and maybe some of the main common similarities that you find within your relationships. That's a really cool thing. And I've met so many amazing people through that. Really, I have met incredible people that I didn't even know I'd ever be friends with, and I can really trust and I can count on and I can call on, that are a part of my life now. So I really appreciate those kinds of connections, and I think it's about just continuing to be authentic and just opening yourself up to that, especially if you've struggled with vulnerability. That would be me. If you've struggled with vulnerability, going into these spaces can really challenge you. I know for me, it's really easy to be open with strangers because in my head, I'm thinking, I'm never going to see you again. But I challenge myself because I know and recognize that feeling of uncomfortability, and I say, hey, I know that you feel a little bit uncomfortable right now, but I'm going to challenge this and see if I can continue to get to know people and not run away because I'm afraid of the emotional intimacy that I could create in friendships and relationships and connections. So I think, Dani, what we've been able to create together in our relationship has really supported me with that. And you too. You've been able to create amazing relationships because we practice in our own relationship, but also on the outside. And we've created tools and resources for all of you to actually be able to connect deeper in your relationships as well.
And with yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's what these experiences do. It's like, while we provide you the community to connect deeper, it also challenges you to discover more parts of yourself, to grow, to learn, to just show up for the version of you that wants to continue to be loved and to love and all of those different things.
So if you're like us and you're ready for deeper connections and you're ready for meaningful connections that last longer than just a night, because we all love that, right? When we can really keep that going, I just encourage you to rally around this idea of switching from what we do to who we are. So again, switching from what we do to who we are. Start thinking about that in your relationships and your new connections, and how can you incorporate going deeper with people that you meet instead of just stopping at that main first point that we normally stop at, where it's like, oh, cool, great, yeah, how do you like it, blah, 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 right? Let's go deeper, let's find out more about people and really see people for who they are. I think, especially after COVID, we're all craving connection more than ever, and recognizing
people. And not about connecting with just people that do the same things as you, but like just because we want to have fun with people. We want to enjoy life.
And recognizing the importance of it. So we are here to create those spaces. We are so glad that you found us. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, if you know us, if you don't know us, wherever you are in the journey of knowing Coming Out Happy and being part of our world, we're so glad that you're here. We're so happy that you've come across this podcast and that you listened today. Please send us a message if you have any questions about different events that we have coming up. If you're like, hey, I'm in this city and I don't see an event here, I would love to have something here. Please let us know. That's how we know where we're going next, and that's how we plan these different things. Where are you? Send it to us. We definitely want to know where you are. So send us a message on Instagram. You can email us, team@comingOutHappy.com. And then, of course, make sure that you are applying if you want to come to our December queer winter camp. It's going to be incredible. 3 days with Coming Out Happy, amazing facilitators, queer, like-minded community that prioritizes their mental health and their growth. It's something you don't want to miss out on. And then, of course, we have our LA Mindful Mixer on October 21st. So stay tuned. I know we're getting into the holidays here. It's going to be a little wild, but we're going to try to create some amazing content for you all as well around that, so that you can feel supported, so that you have something to listen to, get you through the holidays. We know our queer family out there, we always are just going through it together with family. So let's continue to support each other. Let's continue to be in this space. We are so proud of you. We're so glad that you're here. And I think that's all for today.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
See you next time.